Creighton yesterday, they take care of business against Akron in the opening game of the NCAA Regional out in Pittsburgh, and now they have to wait a little bit. It's the late game against Oregon coming up at 9:40 Pittsburgh time, 8:40 right here in Omaha, and right here on the zone between Creighton and Oregon, and we welcome in Creighton assistant Ryan Miller. First of all, congratulations. Good morning. Thanks for getting up with us, Coach.
Oh, no problem. Appreciate you guys. Not much sleep this time of year. Right back at it, trying to prepare for the Oregon Ducks.
Hey, how much of regardless of opponent, how much of it is a relief to get through that first game where there's a buildup, there's the unknown, some guys are new to that stage. How much of it is a relief just to walk off the floor, of course, with a victory to go, okay, we got the first one out of the way. We have 5 more to play.
Yeah, I mean, to get to your second game, you have to win your first. So, so obviously anytime you can get out there and compete and come away with a victory in an NCAA tournament is huge because it's all about surviving and advancing, right? So whether it's first game, second game, you can go out there, compete, try to find a way to win until you get to game 6.
Were you surprised at all, Coach, that Akron was willing to play at the pace with you guys in that first half? I know they hit shots early and it was successful for a little bit, but did that surprise you guys at all that they were willing to go at that pace?
I think, their ability to make shots early obviously took us a little bit off guard. But, through the course of a 40-minute game, with that pace and the way the game was being played, we thought our chances of winning at halftime were pretty strong.
What was the discussion at halftime? Because a nice little burst at the end of the first half, got a 5-point lead. Game is still tight. Akron feels good. You feel good. What was the discussion like in the locker room to come out and right away, go 9 of 13? Akron goes a little bit cold and got a nice, comfortable lead. What was halftime like?
Yep, we thought we left some points on the board also in the first half by turning the ball over. It was just keep the pace going, keep the tempo going, be a little more crisp with their passing and our decision-making, be a little stronger with the basketball against their pressure. And over the course of the game, over the next 20 minutes, we thought we'd be able to stretch the lead out and hold on to the lead. We kind of took the foot off the gas a little bit about 6-7 minute mark to try to win the possession game. But after we got to about the 20-point lead, we felt pretty good control of the game.
Well, and kind of with that too, Coach, you're tuned into how your players are communicating both on the floor and at halftime as well. When we see these March upsets, there were things in that first half that Akron was doing where you could look at any other team and say, this could be problematic. Keep your eye on this. But then you look at what Creighton has between the coaching staff and between the players that have experienced this tournament. How big is that, in your opinion? Those guys, that what they've been through, going through, and kind of what Gary asked too, going through maybe those first 20 minutes there.
No, like Gary said, I mean, like the NCAA experience is no other event like it. You kind of have to go through it before you kind of can experience what it's like, the stage, how big the stage is, how big every possession is. Like last year, we lost by 1 point, and there was a possession during that course of 40 minutes that decided the outcome of the game, not necessarily the last play of the game, right? So every possession matters. We knew Akron wasn't a 3-point shooting team. We know they probably were going to attack because that's if you look at upsets like Oakland, Kentucky last night. I think Oakland made 15 threes, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of upsets for lower seed teams beat or higher seed teams beat lower seed teams is because they make a lot of 3-point shots. So they came out and they let it fly a little bit. Second half we took them off the line a little more. I don't know how many threes I think they ended up with. They had 5 at halftime, I know. So I think a big part of it is making sure those 3-point contests in the second half were a little bit more difficult. They weren't able to tee some shots up, and then just play our game, play out to up tempo. And like you said, we have a lot of experienced guys, a lot of experienced coaches. I mean, Coach Max has been here and then NCAA tournament many years. The staff, I've coached many NCAA tournament games, and then obviously the players being in the stage is quintessential to success. I mean, in this time of year, because like I said, it's just every possession matters, the magnitude of the media, everything that goes into. You got this big microscope on you and a big magnifying lens on you, and every moment matters.
Hey, one quick thing, and this is just I have a question because when you're watching the games at home, it probably doesn't hit you. But when you're involved in the games or you're watching the game in the arena, man, those TV timeouts are lengthy. They're a lot longer than they are in the regular season. So if you're wondering about, man, those guys don't have depth, you're like, well, they're going to get extended breaks. How do you manage the extended time in terms of a timeline and even a longer halftime that you get in the NCAA tournament compared to the regular season?
Yeah, it actually allows us, so secret we don't have a big bench, or we haven't utilized the bench much all year. But it allows those guys to get a little extra rest, and then allows us, the first 30 seconds or so of the timeout, we'll huddle as coaches, and it allows us to really compose our thoughts because we have enough time to compose our thoughts, talk about what's going on offensively and defensively in the huddle, then Mac or whoever goes and takes to the huddle and the timeout. So those 30 seconds, especially for a team like us, where we scheme and a lot of things, we make a lot of adjustments. I think it's helpful for us. And obviously, the halftime too, the same kind of deal. Like a little extra time, the more rest we can get our guys off their feet, the more we can huddle and try to scheme at what's going on out there and try to make adjustments is to our benefit.
It probably wasn't a big surprise, and I got to assume that it was a big part of the game plan, given what Akron had, maybe better yet, what Akron was giving up inside size-wise, even though Enrique Freeman is a solid player, plays a lot bigger than 6'7". Kalk was huge, and it just seemed like from the get-go, Coach, the ball was going to continue. He was going to continue to get his paint touches, but especially when you guys end the first half strong and really pick up from where you left off in the second half, how big was just his overall presence in that matchup yesterday, especially establishing what you guys were trying to do?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's no secret what we do both offensively and defensively. Start with Kalkbrenner. Defensively, we're going to funnel. We're going to move pieces in their offensive parts to Kalkbrenner. That's our goal. How it's done changes from game to game. And then offensively, we want to establish paint touches first, then let it spray out for threes. So we want to work inside out on offense, and so we do that with Kalkbrenner. And then defensively, we want to take people off the outside arc and push them down to Kalkbrenner. So he is such an integral piece and puzzle to what we do schematically during the course of a basketball game and how we prepare for teams.
Boy, he is, when you get to this time of the year, his game goes up another level, and you would think, how can it? He plays at such a high level. But when you get into the NCAA tournament, 11 shows up. Ryan Miller, assistant coach for Creighton, joining us. Creighton, Oregon go the late game, 8:40 Central Time, 9:40 East Coast Time on Saturday night against Oregon. So now, because you don't get to sleep a lot, I don't think you sleep very much anyhow. So you guys are already a little bit ahead of knowing, okay, we got South Carolina, Oregon, if we take care of business. So you've already started that pre-prep. Walk us through, once it's official that Oregon beats South Carolina, what happens next as you break down this Ducks team and your initial thoughts after you saw them either in person or you've seen plenty of them on tape?
Yep. As a staff, we watched the first half, left the second half, and just start to get our thoughts together, our notes together. And then immediately after the game, when we knew our opponent, we huddled, we met as a staff. We went over, number one, to play the Ducks after going over. And we've seen Dean Altman's teams for a while. And I've coached against him. He's been coaching a long time ago, whether it was as a UNLV or some other stops. And Coach Max coached that against them. So, and we kind of know what their scheme already. But we start putting together all their offensive stats. How are we going to take away certain things they like to do? We take a look at all their personnel, who does what, and how can we, take a look at their weaknesses and take them to our benefit, and look at their strengths and try to take those strengths away from them. And then the biggest thing for us, because their defense is so unique, is preparing for their matchup zone. Most makes and most free throws, they go back in this 1-2-2 press back into a matchup. We're really going to have, they're very creative out of it. It's a true matchup where they're really, it's a zone, but they're matching up with guys in the area. So we're going to be creative what we do, and we're going to have to be really, we're going to have to have cutting and movement at a high level to have a lot of offensive success on Saturday night.
Can you talk a little bit more about the challenge of the quick turnaround when you are scouting a team, whether it's Oregon or anyone else, the week that you have to prepare for an NCAA tournament game as opposed to the quick turnaround, that fine line of getting the information, being able to put it on a scouting report, being able to work at it through a practice and a shoot around, but also, is there a sense, Coach, to also kind of thread that needle when it comes to not overwhelming, maybe putting too much of the information out there so you're not bogged down with that in the quick turnaround?
Yeah, I think there's some merit to that. Making sure we're not information overloading.
Right.
Making sure we take a lot of the stuff that they do really well and we try to take it away, and just 3 or 4 things there, and some of the weaknesses they have, and try to expose those. The one reason I think Dana has a lot of his coach teams have a lot of success in the postseason is because that matchup zone is a hard 1-day prep to go against. And when you're in an NCAA tournament and you haven't seen it all year, we've seen some aspects of a matchup like DePaul ran it because Stubblefield coach but it's not like what Oregon done with their length and their athleticism. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a challenge for us, but you're exactly right. We don't want information overload them. Want to give them 3 or 4 things that they can utilize on the court and then go try to execute it Saturday night.
Hey, for a guy that has a little involvement in Let It Fly, you know how important it is to have the TVs in the right spot in sports bars so people can have a viewing experience. Let's be honest here. When you're in the NCAA tournament and maybe you're in one of those long timeouts or something's going on and they're showing games from around the country.
I know where you're going with it. There's no question. I'm in the timeout. I look up there, like, what the hell is going on? What the heck is going on around here? There's no question about it. I know. It's right there for you. And we're playing in Pittsburgh, so the Canes in Pittsburgh. So, right. I mean, there was a time during the course of the game, there's like loud cheers last night. Yeah. And the game's going on. And because they were playing the Duquesne game, that was happening in Omaha on the scoreboard while we were playing, and everyone's like, "What the heck is going on?" And then you look up, and they got the Duquesne game on the TV screen or the scoreboards up here. But yeah, I get caught watching that. I remember a couple of years ago, Kentucky got upset by somebody.
St. Peter's,
Fort Worth, when we were playing in Fort Worth. Yeah, St. Peter's. Yeah, and they were showing that game on the scoreboard in Fort Worth, and like you couldn't help but catch yourself watching during the game. Like you had to snap yourself back, say, "Hey, we got to win this game." Through that Kentucky game up there.
Is that something that's talked about amongst the coaches? Is it annoying? Is it just it is what it is, or like how do you guys react to that?
It was annoying. Yes, I will say that. Because there's no action going on. We're, like right. I said, being out there, but there's ball movement and stuff. Nothing crazy. The crowd starts cheering or they start booing or whatever it is. Yeah. Like, what the heck is going on? So you naturally, you're like, what's going on? Yeah. So you get yourself caught and you have to refocus yourself. You say, okay, you got to eliminate that distraction that's going on. Yeah. But it can be a distraction a little bit. Yes.
Hey, congratulations on the victory. I know it's just the start of the journey, and have fun the rest of the day, putting prep together and back with the fellows in practice. And then good luck tomorrow night, Coach.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Ryan Miller, part of the deep and experienced and talented MAC staff, as Creighton gets ready to take on Oregon tomorrow night at 8:40.